soft, hopeful tone. Picture this. A mother's heart races as she carefully places her newborn child into a handmade basket. Her hands tremble, her eyes flood with tears. The waters of the Nile gleam under the golden sun, and with one final prayer, she lets go. How did it come to this? Why would any parent willingly place their child in such danger? This is the story of Moses, a story of faith, courage, and the unshakable plans of God. And trust me, it's one you don't want to miss. Transition to a heavy, somber tone. Many centuries ago, the Israelites found themselves enslaved in Egypt. They toiled endlessly beneath the scorching sun, their cries for freedom rising like smoke to the heavens. But amidst their suffering, Pharaoh's heart was hardened. He ordered all newborn Hebrew boys to be thrown into the Nile, a cruel attempt to stifle their numbers. Yet, even in the darkest times, hope would find a way. Shift to a hushed, dramatic voice. One couple defied Pharaoh's decree. Amram and Jochebed dared to do the unthinkable. They hid their baby boy. For 3 months they guarded him, but soon it became impossible to keep his cries hidden from the ears of Pharaoh's soldiers. So, Jochebed crafted a small basket, waterproofing it with tar and pitch. Slightly hopeful tone. With a bravery born out of love, she placed her son into the basket and set it gently among the reeds of the Nile. Can you imagine the thoughts racing through her mind? Would the river deliver her child to safety or carry him into danger? As God's plan would have it, the basket didn't go unnoticed. Pharaoh's daughter spotted it while bathing along the riverbank. She opened it and saw the crying baby. Compassion bloomed in her heart. A Hebrew child, she realized. Little did Pharaoh's daughter know, but Miriam, the baby's sister, had been standing nearby, hidden but watchful. With quick thinking, Miriam approached and offered to find a Hebrew woman to nurse the baby. Pharaoh's daughter agreed. And who do you think she brought forth? None other than the baby's own mother, Jochebed. Imagine her joy and relief. Not only was her son alive and safe, but now she would nurse him and care for him, all under the protection of Pharaoh's own household. She named him Moses, meaning drawn out, for he was drawn out of the waters, both literally from the Nile and figuratively into his incredible destiny. Excited undertone building to a crescendo. But Moses' story doesn't stop there. Raised as an Egyptian prince, he had access to wealth, power, and education. And yet, deep down, he knew he was a Hebrew. This dual identity would shape his path in ways even he couldn't foresee. One day, Moses witnessed an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Something ignited within him, a mix of anger, justice, and compassion. Unable to restrain himself, he struck down the Egyptian in defense of his fellow Hebrew. But this act forced Moses to flee Egypt, leaving his life of royalty behind. He ran to the land of Midian, a fugitive searching for peace. In Midian, Moses built a new life. He married Zipporah, the daughter of a Midianite priest named Jethro, and became a shepherd. From leading a life of luxury in a palace, he now led sheep through the wilderness. It seemed like a quiet ending to a tumultuous beginning, or so it seemed. Abrupt tonal shift to mysterious echoing tone. And then came the burning bush. One day, while tending to his flock on Mount Horeb, something caught Moses' eye. A bush was ablaze, flames roaring across its branches, yet it was not consumed. Intrigued, Moses approached this mysterious sight, and that's when he heard it. "Moses! Moses!" It was the voice of God. Imagine the awe, the terror, the raw emotion of that moment. God commanded Moses to remove his sandals, for he was standing on holy ground. And then came the mission, a mission that would change history. God told Moses that he had seen the suffering of his people. Their cries had reached him, and he intended to set them free. And Moses? Moses was to be his instrument. He was to return to Egypt, confront Pharaoh, and lead the Israelites out of bondage. Voice intensifies, echoing uncertainty and fear. But Moses hesitated. Who was he to take on such a task? A fugitive? A shepherd? What if they don't believe me? What if Pharaoh refuses to listen? He asked. God assured Moses, saying, I will be with you. To strengthen Moses' faith, God showed him miraculous signs. He turned Moses' staff into a serpent and back into a staff, and caused Moses' hand to become leprous, and then healed it in an instant. Even still, Moses pleaded, citing his lack of eloquence, but God reminded him, Who gave human beings their mouths? Is it not I, the Lord? Finally, after much reassurance, Moses accepted the call, and so began one of the greatest journeys in the Scripture, a journey of faith, deliverance, and the undeniable power of God. Return to a reflective tone. What can we learn from Moses' story? First, God often uses the least likely people to fulfill his purposes. Moses was a baby marked for death, a fugitive running from his past. And yet, God drew him out of obscurity. Second, God is patient. Even when Moses doubted and made excuses, God didn't abandon him. He equipped Moses with everything he needed for the task ahead. And lastly, God hears our cries. Just as he heard the Israelites and took action, he hears you. Your struggles, your fears, and your prayers matter to him. So the next time you think you're too small, too broken, or too unworthy, remember Moses. Because if God can use someone who started life in a basket floating on a river, imagine what he can do with your life. This story is a powerful reminder that no matter where you start, God's plans will always prevail. What do you think about Moses' journey? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to share this incredible story. You never know who might need to hear it today.